Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Fedden. I run a AI training, consulting and AI adoption firm called AEG. We are quite a young company, but already we have clients in the UK and in the US. And we're talking to a variety of organisations about AI, from small enterprises up to large organisations like Cambridge University. Today we will be talking about AI, but I'd like to delve into just one question to begin with, which is whether the success of AI is down to the technology or is it down to the people? Certainly I've had lots of conversations with people over the past year, and there is, as Sharon was commenting, some great AI technology out there. But what I've found is that without the right AI adoption, without the right change management, then often we can be setting ourselves up to fail when it comes to AI implementation. Today, I'm not going to be offering you necessarily a silver bullet, but hopefully what I'll do is provide you with some insights, some feedback that can allow you to adopt your own AI journey and roadmap. One thing to mention is I asked Alan before this event what his desired outcome was for these talks. What did he want to achieve? And one of the things he mentioned was that he wanted me to talk about something pragmatic, something practical that people could take away. So I do have a takeaway at the end of this talk, which you might be able to use and take back to your offices and use tomorrow. So please stay with me over the next few minutes. Okay. I am relatively new to the construction industry. So to prepare for this event, a couple of months ago, I started doing a survey. The survey was focused on predictive performance and total quality management, but it also covered other areas such as overall AI adoption. And most of this talk is going to be concentrating on the results and insights from that survey. I sent out 2,500 messages and I got 98 responses. I so wanted to get into three figures. I really wanted to get into three figures. In fact, I found myself a couple of days ago at a crossroad of truth. I could have been like a past or maybe future president of a big country calling up the election official of Georgia saying, all I need is 11,472 extra votes. Or I could have told the truth, and I decided to tell the truth. I'm sure when I get back home, I'll have 103 respondents, but it'll be too late. So I got 98, but that is a big variety, and we'll talk about the sort of organizations and the sort of project types. And they were all construction professionals, people like yourself, from a variety of different roles, from the top man, the CEO, across down to a variety of disciplines and experts. So hopefully it's a good across-the-board analysis of what we're going to cover today. In today's talk, I can only provide, in the time allotted, certain aspects, certain insights from this report. But I will, over the next couple of weeks, be writing an executive report based on these findings, based on this survey. So if you drop me a message on LinkedIn, I'll kindly send you through the report when it's out over the next few weeks. Okay. So there were a diverse range of organizations involved in this survey, from small specialist companies up to some Goliaths. So we got a good spread of the unique challenges that these organizations were facing. Interesting, one of the organizations, on a side note, was Mott MacDonald, and we have a part of our business that deals with land referencing within construction. And we did a similar survey a few weeks back on the use of AI within land referencing, and I'm not sure if any of you were dealing with that particular area. But the results were interesting, and they mirrored the sort of results from the survey that we'll be talking about today. So as I say, if you want a copy of that report, please drop me a line, and I'll happily send that through to you. So me go back. Okay. So let's draw some analysis. The organisations themselves came from a wide range of industry sectors. This is slightly biased based on the format of the question, but what was interesting was that most of the organisations that responded, most of the respondents to the survey, worked in a variety of different areas, so industrial, commercial, health, but other areas as well. So yet again, amassing all of this data and bringing it together was quite interesting. Let's deep down into the analysis and draw out some interesting stuff from this. And first of all, we'll look at AI adoption. So what you see here in the top left-hand graph are the current adoption rates of AI within construction companies. What you see on the bottom right-hand graph are the future potential, the positive impact that people think AI will have within that organization. Now, there is a slither of people that don't think AI will have any sort of impact, ranging from AI doesn't work, AI can't add up, AI is not for me, I can do it better, through to another slither, the other side, people saying we're doomed, AI is going to take over the world, the human race is going to go out of business. But the vast majority of people believe that there was great potential for AI. And so that's really interesting. Even the people that aren't using AI right now within that organization believe that it will have great use. So there is a lot of latent demand for AI within organizations. Some organizations you can't quite see here, but it's about 6-7% of people have fully adopted AI. There may be the first mover advantages, but there's some early adopter advantages for businesses, for leaders of business to adopt AI and take advantage and benefit from it. And so let's look at the conclusions from that particular set of questions. There is a broad optimism across all levels for AI. What we found was that, yes, the non-adopters of AI currently see value, but the higher adopters, the people that are using AI at the moment, had the greatest confidence. So once they were familiar with AI integration within their organizations, they were the most positive. Seeing is believing out there. And so for the non-adopters, there is a path to integration there with maybe the right training, maybe the right support, maybe the right policies, if you like. So how does this relate to predictive performance? And let's take a look at some of the results, if you like. Yeah, again, it is a similar story. So a small percentage, about 5%, are already adopting AI. The vast majority, when it comes to predictive performance, aren't. But of those, the vast majority, over 70%, see that it's actually very likely or likely that they should be adopting AI. So, as Sharon mentioned, we are at the beginning of an amazing opportunity frontier here, and it is an early adopters market. In terms of in terms of sort of application areas, the use cases for predictive performance, it crosses a number of a range of areas, from efficiency and cost estimation to risk management. And obviously, with the speed of AI, you have with performance management the ability to be preventative, so you can identify risks, mitigate risks before they actually occur or anyone notices out there. And if we take a look at quality control, yet again, the alignment and the adoption is similar, particularly strong when it comes to material detection and structural analysis and health and safety. The figures told me when I was reviewing the survey that the top responses was all about compliance and health and safety. So it was all about people avoiding financial or legal consequences if they got things wrong. And that's an area that AI is seen as a front runner out there. But it's important to balance the argument here. Sure, the blissful road to AI is very encouraging, but there are hurdles, there are challenges along the way. So we need to investigate these. As part of the survey, we asked a couple of open questions just to get away from multiple choice and get people to actually talk honestly about their thoughts on AI, and yet again, both the challenges and the solutions. And here are a couple of the questions that typically came up. And so what I'll do is I'll provide a sample of some of the responses to this in the next slide. These aren't my comments, don't blame me. They're comments from people who actually answered the survey. So, slow industry adoption, regulation and policy hurdles, resistance to change was seen as some of the challenges. When it came to solutions, industry-wide education, collaboration, proven use cases. And this is pretty representative. What I found really interesting about these responses is that just about all the responses wasn't to do with technology. It was to do with the people side, the augmented part of AI. It was to do with AI adoption. It was to do with change management within these organizations. And so I found that, really intriguing as a set of responses. Okay. And so a lot of this is to do with, is maybe to do with people, and it's to do with the leader's role within AI adoption. And the leader's role when it comes to AI adoption, and many of you will be business leaders within construction, those that aren't probably will be in the future, so hopefully this is very relevant for you. The thing about AI adoption at the moment is that it's tough for leaders. If you're implementing an enterprise resource planning, an ERP solution, maybe SAP or Oracle, you have 30 years of documented best practice about how to do that. You just don't have that currently with AI. And so AI is more challenging, it's tougher. I think leaders often require defined outcomes. They require strong KPIs. And you can't necessarily do that with AI because it's so new, because it's so evolving. As Sharon mentioned, the technology is rapidly evolving, and ChatGPT a couple of years ago is so different to ChatGPT today. So leaders need to take a different approach as opposed to more traditional AI, so traditional software adoption or technology adoption. And what does that mean? Well, leaders need to be brave. Leaders need to collaborate, not dictate. Leaders have to appreciate that they and maybe their people don't have all the answers. So it is a voyage of discovery. They can say that they are not AI experts because they're probably not AI experts, unlike Sharon. Okay. And the rapid adoption of AI calls for this more collaborative approach where really you have a North Star that you're aiming for, not a set of hard defined outcomes. And it's important with AI also that, I guess the thing about construction is that it has so many disciplines that need to come together. And there is a case for, within that, for there to be bias amongst us humans because the needs and requirements of one discipline can bleed into another discipline and impact it. And that's quite dangerous when it comes to AI because that can lead to bias within AI. So what's important is that this whole process, sponsored by the leader, needs to be collaborative, needs to organise and include everyone. Back in the 1970s, in Cape Canaveral, there was a guy on the launch pad with a broom in his hand, and he was sweeping the launch pad. And some guy came up to him and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he very confidently turned to the chap and he said, I'm part of the team that are putting astronauts into space. So as part of this, as part of the leader's approach, yes, you have to include the astronauts. Yes, you have to include the people for mission control. But you also have to include the guy with the broom sweeping the launch pad as well. It has to be all-inclusive, if you like. Okay. So I promise you one, but this is going slightly off message, but it is a practical takeaway and something that I use regularly, and hopefully something that you can start using when you go back to your offices today. Some of you might know this, and if it is, I apologise, it's a back to basics session for you. Others won't. But it's to do with a certain prompt called the flipped interaction pattern or prompt. So this is talking to your chatbot, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Gemini. It's talking their language about getting something out of them. And it's where you're actually turning the tables on them. You're not going to ChatGPT and asking it a question. You're setting it up so the large language model actually asks you a question. And the context that this is very useful for is where you're dealing with a subject that you're not necessarily a specialist in. It's a new area for you. And you're setting the ChatGPT or the Gemini up so that you're relying on the fact that maybe the AI isn't as clever as you, but certainly knows more information than you. And so rather than you asking it questions, you're getting the AI to ask you questions. So we'll just have an example and hopefully you can see that. So I picked a subject that I know very little about, and I think probably lots of you do. So hopefully this is seen as appropriate. So I had, as Karen said, everyone needs to have a chat GPT session with a presentation. I asked ChatGPT, I would like you to ask me questions to achieve the goal of formulating a strategy and plan to be a better leader of my construction company. Know little about that. You should ask me 6 questions, only ask me 1 question at a time. So what I'm doing there is, first of all, I'm giving the AI a goal, an outcome that I want to achieve. I'm asking it to ask me a certain number of questions. For this purpose, I've limited it to 6, but normally you'd say, ask me as many questions as you want until you have enough sufficient information. And I'm saying only ask me 1 question at a time. So I want to make it a proper iterative, incremental conversation with the AI so that it learns the answer I give it to each question, if you like. So, and I've decided, being the leader in this scenario, sometimes I'm going to be a nice leader, sometimes I'm going to be a nasty leader, if you like. So I've asked, what do you believe are your current strengths and weaknesses as a leader within your construction company? That's the question that is posed with me first. I've said my strengths are I have great social skills, I'm good at problem solving, I might have some empathy. My weaknesses is overcoming self-doubt, managing time and delegating tasks. As a leader, I'm quite a micromanager. I'd like to do stuff myself rather than delegating it out to other people, and that's certainly some of the CEOs that I've met. How do you currently approach decision-making, especially when faced with high-pressure situations? That's a question I've asked. And the AI, that's what the question AI is asked, and my answer is, I try to stay calm, focus, gather information, etc. Next is said, well, how do you currently handle delegation, and what challenges do you face when assigning tasks to your team? And I said, well, it's really about delegation. There are a number of issues there. Sometimes they have lack of confidence. I have lack of time. I don't really brief my staff very well because I'm a very busy guy. I'm important. I'm a leader. So those are the sort of challenges that I'm facing. How do you currently invest in developing your team skills? Well, I just expect them to learn, actually, and be loyal to my business. I'm paying their wages, so they should be loyal to me. How do you provide feedback to your team, and how do you think this impacts their performance? Well, I just wait for them to come back to me. You know, if there's a problem, I think lack of feedback from me has had a negative impact on my employees if I think about it, if you like. And what key challenges or improvements do you think would help? So here, I've tried to be positive, be clear, increase feedback, encourage a person to come back to me if they have problems. And so now it's taking that information, I've personalized its search within its vast array of data and its training data out there. And it's come back to me and he said, well, look, this sounds good. It's reflecting what the answers I've given. So I've trained the AI. The AI hasn't provided me with the answers. And it says, do you want to explore this in more detail? And I've said, yes, please, if you like. So now it's achieved my goal that I wanted to, I specified at the beginning of the talk. It said, establish clear feedback, create a structured delegation process, so it's broken down into action, objectives, timeline, if you like. Talked about problem solving. Let's talk about feedback. Now, I wouldn't necessarily use this, but if it's a subject that I don't have much knowledge about, it's given me a place to start. It's a version 1. It's pretty good. I wouldn't roll it out, but it gives me a direction. It gives me my own North Star that I should be aiming for. So that's something that I use every day because there are lots of areas that I don't know a lot about, and this really helps me. So that's the flipped interaction pattern for any of you that haven't heard it before. Okay. So what have we covered today? Well, there is a potential, but there are certainly key barriers out there. The importance of leadership is critical. Is it about technology? Is it about the people? Well, if you don't get the change management right, if you don't get the AI adoption right, then that might be a criteria for failure. And that AI adoption, maybe in change management, should come first before you start looking at any technology out there. You should start thinking about small, scalable projects, and we often do is we write a graph with feasibility on the x-axis and value on the y-axis, and work out where the low-hanging fruit, the no-brainer projects are out there. And so that's really what we believe next. We should start with change management. I've gone over time here. I'd like to say thank you, and I'd like to say, go Rami Le Mara good. Thank you very much.